pleasure. I always appreciate how open you are to have our discussions. We're gonna begin by going over today's agenda. Our meeting objective is to discuss teaching practices for reflection and growth. And our meeting norms are gonna be to just listen with an open heart, which you're so good at doing that. I'm going to go over some growth focused reflections for supporting your practice, okay? I wanted to begin with you, and I wanted you to maybe do some self-reflection on what were some goals of your lesson going in.
Some goals of the lesson going in, we were reading the book Energía, and I wanted my students to take away the big details on the book, that the two different types of energies that they focused on. So I wanted them to find textual evidence to support like the theme and stuff, using scaffolding strategies. Like Miss Yolanda prepared a worksheet which had questions with different pages, so they can look for those pages and look for the important details so they can fill out the worksheet. So I did that activity with them, and for some it helped for some, but some still needed that teacher guidance and support from me, and that was given to them too.
Can you speak to how you supported them?
Yes, I looked with them like in the book, and then I also for the worksheet I also told them like you need to remember to highlight, because we did a CBM reading passage not so long ago, and I gave them some strategies, which is like if you needed to highlight something, you can use a highlight and then try to find like keywords that match what you're looking for, and also like go back to the question into the passage so you can successfully like complete the worksheets.
Okay, so in your own words, what would you say didn't go as planned? What didn't you foresee?
What I didn't foresee was that for some, they were working on it in groups, and some groups were having a little difficult finding those keywords, even if it was like in the text already, like it said. And then I helped supported them by like having the worksheet and say like you need to find these words that matches in the text, and then when you find those words, like write what it says, like the answers.
What do you think prohibits them from being able to utilize those keywords that are right there in the text? What do you think is their biggest obstacle?
I know when maybe their biggest obstacle was maybe they know that it is the answer, but they have like doubts about am I right or am I not right. Maybe like self-doubting, it's a biggest one, because I also, when I was a student, I was also like that. So I second guessed myself a lot. So maybe second guessing yourself a lot would be the obstacle.
That's interesting. So maybe working on leveraging like peer partners, right, to encourage each
Yes.
other, right, and keeping each other on track.
Yes.
Good. What do you feel won the best?
Something that went the best was that some groups were able to work together to find the answers from the text, and also one of the students helped the other student out, and he was able to finish the worksheet.
Okay, great. If you had to change anything from the lesson, what sticks out, if anything? What would you do differently?
Okay. Something that I would do differently is when we were discussing how to do the lesson,
Mhm.
I brought up the idea of having an anchor chart and then sticky notes and giving and in the anchor chart like having like the biggest question ever, which is what would be energy or what is energy, and having students write in their sticky notes with their groups what they think energy is, and as a access slip, like putting that in the sticky notes, putting it into the anchor chart, like having students put that. I
That's
think I would change that.
That's a great idea. I wonder if that's something that you could still, did you want to do that, or, and you ran out of time? Or is that
Yes.
something that you wish that you could have done, period?
That was something that I wanted to do, but I ran out of time.
Because we did talk about having a gallery walk, right?
Yes.
And so, okay, so that's why I just wanted to confirm that. We also talked about the kids using the sticky notes, right, as you were doing the read aloud before the
Yes.
activity, so that they can anchor some of their ideas to utilize for answering the worksheet, right?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna share some of my observations from that day. You have a great relationship with the kids. I can tell that they absolutely adore you, right? And you have some wonderful structures in place to gain their attention. You did that clapping method. The kids right away were paying attention to you. So you brought their attention to the activity, which you opened up with a read aloud. The read aloud wasn't that long, which was really good because you were really able to hopefully maintain and capture their attention. And in between that reading as well, you stopped to check for understanding, and you had some really good participation. The only thing I would say in the future is that in order to make sure that there's equity of voice, maybe have a little system to maybe ask somebody to, hey, select someone else to give an answer, or maybe the typical popsicle sticks, right? Because you do have some really strong students in there, but they kind of like take over like the airspace, right?
Yes.
Something else that I noticed that you asked them to do when you were going over some of the pictures in the book, to ensure that they were understanding the types of energy and they understood the pictures connected to those ideas. You asked them to do a turn and talk, so that was a really great teacher move that I observed. And within that, you asked the students to give their take on what they discussed, and some kids have really great ideas and suggestions. Someone said, una cosa que me ayuda a entender, or in other words, something that helps me understand this energy is because my dad is a mechanic, and so he started giving an example of what his dad does, right? So he brought the connection to like a real life connection about his dad being a mechanic working on a machine. And there was another good one. There was I think it was Vicky who said something about, I see energy in the kitchen when my mom cooks. So those were all excellent examples of some of the pictures that you were bringing their attention to. And a really great teacher move was, I believe it was Matias who said something that I actually had trouble hearing, but then you reiterated and you restated what he said. So then that brought, and you thanked Matias for his contribution. So let's see. So then you wrapped up the activity with some more clarifying questions to ensure student understanding. And something really great that I observed was when your teacher assistant, Miss Lucrecia,
Yes.
when she walked in the middle or towards the end of the lesson, she smoothly, just seamlessly came into the lesson and started supporting what you were already doing. And that's a great attribute to how you and her connection and
Yes.
communication is already established, because you didn't have to tell her, oh, can you go help these students over here? She just came into the classroom and she just knew what she should do. Yes, exactly. And then once you wrapped up that read aloud, you introduced the graphic organizer that you were explaining at the beginning, and what the students should do. They should go back into the text. And something that I wanted to highlight is that at the beginning of the lesson, you did give the students some 4 sticky notes, was it?
Yes.
And the sticky notes were for the purpose of, as you're reading, if they found some really important key concepts, for them to use those 4 sticky notes judiciously, right? So that
Yes.
it can help them think back about or go back to important places in the text, right? So when it was time to use the graphic organizer, it would be, it would support them, right? How did you think that went?
I was only able to see only like one student use all of them used the sticky notes, but I was only able to see one student's sticky notes, and I do believe that it did help because they were not asking me like for assistance or stuff like that. Like they were able to do it by themselves.
Okay, I did notice that some students did struggle,
Yeah.
like utilizing them. What do you think that could be done next time to help support them?
Maybe what I can do next time would be try to find like another mentor text that I could use and try to model how to efficiently use those sticky notes to support me in the process of completing the graphic organizer.
Okay, so doing a little more modeling,
Yes,
right? And
modeling,
helping
yeah.
them utilize them. I think that's a great idea. And, there's always gonna be kids who need that extra support. So one of the tips I was thinking about is that when you're reading, when you're doing the read aloud and you do notice something really important, maybe stop and think aloud, is this a place where we could use a sticky note? And let them make that decision, right? That's great. Anything else about that?
No, I really think it's a good idea. I was thinking about doing that for the next lesson too.
Okay, you mean the stopping?
Yes,
and-
stopping and then thinking out loud, because when they see the teacher thinking out loud, they also think out loud at the same time, and then also like having them use their judgment instead of you telling them like this is a place where you can put it, makes them feel or take ownership of their learning, which a teacher should do in a classroom.
I love that you're saying that, right? Because you're building them up to take ownership for their own learning, so that's just great. Let's go ahead and talk about some of the things that you said, some of the things that I said in my observation, and let's talk about an area of improvement based on the things that you discussed and based on the things that I observed. Like, let's look for some alignment on which area that we both sort of highlight where you can improve upon. What do you think that could be?
I really think that a place where we can agree would be modeling out loud the sticky note strategy for them, because I think when teachers model for students, that makes that helps the students who are confused or struggle, because they need to know what the teacher is looking for.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and let's select 2 specific goals for you. So here's some paper, here's a pen, and let's kind of think and identify two goals that you would like me to observe, two goals that we can plan for so that you can improve upon. And I also wanted to give you this teacher friendly cheat sheet. It's the Danielson framework for teaching. And if you want to just go ahead and take a look at the different domains and see if we can collectively work on selecting two priorities for planning.
Thank you.
And if I can bring your attention to two things that I observed in your classroom, I was kind of thinking about A and 3C. I noticed that this could be two areas that would be beneficial. 3A is communicating with students, clear directions, explanations, and success criteria. And so the reason that I was thinking about this item is so that the kids who were struggling with the graphic organizer, what do you think about that?
I think it's a good one, and I was also thinking before you gave me the worksheet, I started thinking about the two domains or goals that I want to work for the next lesson, and I also said provide more scaffolding strategies for the struggling students, and also like model think aloud with sticky notes so they will know how to efficiently use them.
Okay, and I really love what you said prior to having an anchor chart, right? Something that they can
Yes.
go to use as support. And we mentioned 3C, engaging in learning. Students actively think, discussing problem solving, tasks are rigorous and purposeful. So just ensuring that the activities that we're designing for them, right, are rigorous, purposeful, and worthy of their time. What do you think about that?
I think it's a good one because I know from my experience that if the students are not really engaged or they don't they're doing stuff that they don't like, they are not going to do it to the best of their ability, which as a teacher you want them to be learning as much as they need to be learning to move on to the next year. Not only that, but also build their stamina so they can be successful in life.
Okay, I love that you said that, right? Because we're here for them to promote their progress, their successes in life, right?
Yes.
So I love that you're thinking of their future, higher learning, and things like that. Wonderful. When would you like to meet next to plan for these two items? I know that it's already Friday tomorrow, and that those are difficult days. And next week we're almost, one more week before we go on the break. So I'm wondering, I want to respect your time. I know you're gonna be super busy, but I'm flexible. If you want to meet next week, so that we can decide the planning for when we come back from break, or if you want to defer the planning for the first week when we come back, I'm here at your service. What do you think works best for you?
I was thinking of doing it next week so then when we come back, you can observe the lesson and you can so you can give me some suggestions of what to do different and how to plan the lesson for when you come and observe.
I love that you said that. So as we begin to wrap up, are there any focus areas that you'd like me to start preparing for so that I can give you the feedback?
I think brainstorming more scaffolding strategies for them.
Okay.
And I also liked the questions that you came up with. Using the mentor text with which was energía. And for my small groups, I kind of took that idea too. And we were we're reading Clarissa y sus plantas matantas,
Mhm.
a book that was given to us by the Ale curriculum.
Okay.
And I did my own questions. I made my own questions, and I've been using them in small groups, and so far it's been working. And I only use it for the teachers group, and also just for me to target like all of the students, being able to target all of the students. I also give the opportunity to my teacher assistant to work in her small groups too with those questions and the book too. And I was planning to do those questions and book only 2 days, so Monday and Tuesday, and then Wednesday I could be doing ESL sentences in English, because I noticed also that my students are having a little difficult with writing incomplete sentences in English. So I'm also trying to target that in that lesson, and then Thursday and Friday would go back to the questions. So we would be using in total 4 days with the questions and the book, and then 1 day with the sentences. But also in the morning when they come, we do the journal entries that you helped as well.
Okay.
And I really like that idea, and I found some journal entry choice boards that they can use for different types of writing, so personal narratives or expository or argumentative,
Okay.
and also all the ones that are. And so far it's been working, so I'm really glad you've been helping.
Oh, thank you. I'm really glad to hear that you've continued with the journaling that I modeled for you and the kids in the morning. And so that's gonna lead into something that you're prioritizing right now, which is like elevating their English, writing in English, that ESL component, that writing component, that we can also, and we did talk about bringing that into a center, right?
Yes.
Bringing that into small groups to help elevate their writing. So I'm so glad that you're bringing all these things up, because it is part of what we talked about, the planning for this year, and elevating you as a teacher and elevating their learning in the classroom. So I'm really happy to hear all that. Maria, for the interest of time, we're going to stop here, but I always want to let you know that I appreciate you so much. You always welcome me into your classroom, more than you probably should, because I am there so much, but it is my pleasure to help and support you. So your openness and your willingness to learn fills me, and also, like I've told you, you're helping me become a better leader, right? A better coach, and I appreciate you so much, because you're letting me practice, right? And so that I can elevate my own practice. So I appreciate you. Thank you so much.